campaign. Pablo Manriquez covers Capitol Hill for Latino Rebels. Few reporters are as well sourced inside the Progressive Caucus. Joins us now. Pablo, is this fight for real?
I don't think so. I think that one of the things that I've been doing over the weekend was trying to figure out what exactly had caused the removal of certain provisions that immigrant rights groups have been fighting for throughout the Build Back Better negotiations. It was really interesting because a lot of people immediately wanted to point the finger at Democratic Party leadership, right? But multiple sources involved in this negotiation have since told me that while Speaker Pelosi, Dick Durbin, who's another really key negotiator on the immigration provisions in the Senate, both major stakeholders within the negotiation on the congressional side held out until the last minute to include citizenship provisions. And it was actually sort of grass tops immigrant rights groups fearing that they were going to come away with nothing that replaced citizenship with something that's like a temporary status called parole. So there's a lot of infighting right now amongst the immigrant rights groups, but I think that so far that most, first of all, Democrats have a united negotiating front on it in as much as it relates to we're just going to do what the immigrant rights groups want, and the immigrant rights groups are completely in disarray.
Well, that's interesting. Well, yeah, that's interesting. On the same time, what the immigrant rights group really want is citizenship, and it seems as though that's been pulled off the table.
Correct.
It's interesting how this has become a political football on both sides, and you pointed this out in one of your tweets. Poll support for work permits and protections for dreamers and undocumented migrants. Data for Progress poll, 75% support, 20% oppose. NRCC, National Republican Congressional Committee, 36 support, 56 oppose. How do you explain that, and what does the difference mean?
Well, the difference was in how they phrased the question. If you ask if you want to forgive illegal immigrants of their sins or whatever, people are like, no. If you ask if people should be allowed to stay, work, be protected, and sort of contribute to the American way of life, then people say yes. So it really depends on the polling.
Who's winning overall the debate on Capitol Hill on how to frame this?
Oh, Republicans, always, always. Republicans have had a very lockstep talking point framework for describing immigration policy in sort of some of the more extreme ways that they can find, like using outliers as examples. That's been really effective politically. Donald Trump is probably one of the most famous purveyors of these messages, whereas Democrats...
It's certainly, you think about how Republicans are able to do this when it comes to victims of crimes by illegal immigrants and highlighting those. The Trump administration did that pretty well. It's even working, though, with Latinos. You and I talked about this. Glenn Youngkin in Virginia won nearly 50% of the Latino vote. Are Democrats losing this really key constituency?
I think that failing to deliver on immigration reform is going to undermine the essential organizing backbone that immigrants have provided Democratic Party campaigns over the last several election cycles. If they come away empty-handed on these negotiations, there's a question as to whether or not that will affect Latino turnout, given how immigrant advocacy organizations at the grassroots level do turn people out. So that's a really good question. I think that ultimately they are arguing right now for next to nothing in terms of immigrant relief when what's left in the Build Back Better Act, which begs the question, why not go down fighting for everything instead of next to nothing?
Well, especially if you're seen as going down fighting, then you have something to stand on, a reason to...
You have something to stand on, right. You might not be able to bring home the bacon, but at least you can show that
you have a moral victory at least. I'm interested because the other big immigration topic that's coming up is these payments to people or families, if you want to call them, although some weren't families, that were separated at the border under the Trump administration. The Biden administration has gone from absolutely not $450,000 to maybe something to now the DOJ is going to argue it and decide how much it should be. Here's President Biden over the weekend. Take a listen.
In fact, because of the outrageous behavior of the last administration, you coming across the border, whether it was legal or illegal, and you lost your child, it's gone. You deserve some kind of compensation, no matter what the circumstance.
Never mind the facts of this. I'm wondering how this plays politically. Do Democrats worry that payments to illegal immigrants is just not going to work well for them in the midterms?
Well, it's payments to separated families, so I think that there's a distinction in the American political sort of debate about sort of, the people who might who have come to this country illegally and are being persecuted, say, by ICE. But I think that like the border separations that went on during the Trump
I guess what I'm saying is you yourself said
universally
Republicans are better
unpopular.
on this issue. I'm wondering if Democrats worry that it's going to be one more thing that Republicans can hang around their neck.
Well, there's fundamentally, like politically, there's no difference between the worst set of like immigrant protections, like parole, and the very best amnesty. Republicans are going to blame it as like a mass amnesty that needs to be repealed and replaced. So it's a messaging battle that if Democrats are talking about degrees of relief, they're playing the game wrong.
I got to run, but come back as this comes through and Build Back Better. We want to understand what it means, especially for the votes inside the Democratic primaries coming up. Appreciate it, my friend. Good to see you.
Thanks, Leland.
All right. President Biden, thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.